Hello, fellow grave crawlers, and welcome to ZTV Reviews. I am Paper Zombie, your host with you as always. And on today's episode, we're diving into TV land because we're going to be talking about episode 1 of season 1 of Chucky. Chucky debuted back in October of 2021 on both Sci-Fi and USA networks and is currently in its third season this year in 2023. Continuity-wise, Chucky picks up just 3 weeks after the events of the seventh film in the franchise, which is 2017's Cult of Chucky, and serves as its canonical follow-up. So yes, this television series is actually the continuation of the original film franchise. Our plot has us catching up with Chucky, who has arrived in the sleepy little town of Hackensack, New Jersey, where he plans to shake things up. But why? What is Chucky up to that a movie wasn't enough to do the tale justice? It's time to start that journey to finding out. So let's dive into our first episode, Death by Misadventure. The plot of our first episode centers on 14-year-old Jake Wheeler, played by Zachary Arthur, who comes across our favorite killer doll, played of course by the one and only Brad Dourif, at a yard sale. We find out that Jake is a budding artist and is using dolls like Chucky in his latest works of art. Now, I know all of this is nightmare fuel, but don't you dare judge this boy. Art is in the eye of the beholder, no matter how many it has. This is much to the chagrin of his father, Luke Wheeler, played by Mr. Final Destination himself, Devin Saw, who does believe that Jake has talent, but thinks that Jake is spending too much time with his projects and not enough time experiencing life. But Jake really doesn't have that much in the way of a life. The majority of his peers at his middle school think that he's weird, so they bully him. This even extends to Jake's cousin, Junior, played by Teo Briones, and his girlfriend, Lexi, played by Olivia Allen Lynn, who are both in the same grade as Jake, but come from that rich, privileged side of the fence. The only one who sees through the bullying and has any sympathy for Jake is Devin Evans, played by Bjorgvin Aronarson. He's a fellow student whose fascination with true crime has him running a podcast that has recently turned its focus to a series of murders that have happened recently in town. When Jake makes the silly mistake of taking Chucky to school with him, it sets off a whole string of events. Lexi finds out that Jake intends to sell Chucky and believes that he's doing it because Jake and his father struggle financially. This leads to Lexi's so-called idea of trying to help Jake by creating a GoFundMe page for him and making sure that every student in the school knows about it. Now, while Jake is used to this kind of treatment, Chucky is not. And when he and Lexi get left alone in biology class, Chucky lets Lexi know that she has worked her way onto his list. He starts by intimidating her, giving that signature Chucky giggle, and vanishing from sight. When Lexi goes in search of, she finds Chucky standing idle at the classroom door, with his glassy doll eyes fixed on her, and blinking all on their own. Fortunately for Lexi, she's saved before Chucky can do more than just intimidate. Now, up until this point, Jake has been basically none the wiser that Chucky is Chucky. But once he puts Chucky up for sale on the internet, he gets a call from an interested buyer. A buyer who asks if the doll that Jake has up for sale is named Chucky. When Jake answers yes, the buyer warns him to be careful with Chucky and asks if he's checked Chucky's battery compartment. When Jake does that the next day and sees that there are no batteries off in Chucky's battery compartment, he knows exactly what to do next. Go! Because Jake is a smart boy, after that call, he looked up murders involving good guy dolls on the internet. It revealed to him some of the past incidents that Chucky had been involved in, as well as a connection between Chucky and deceased former Hackensack resident, Charles Lee Ray. While Chucky marinates in the garbage, Jake attends the school talent show, of which Devin has invited him to come to. When Lexi tries to put Jake on the spot in front of the entire audience, a voice rings out from the crowd.
Lexi, why don't you pick on someone your own size?
Though Jake has never heard this voice before, he knows exactly who it belongs to. As he turns to face the row behind him, he finds Chucky sitting there in the seat. Chucky sets things up to make it look like he and Jake are doing a ventriloquist act. And that's where Chucky proceeds to drop bank on Lexi by revealing the contents and internet searches on her phone. Yeah, she dropped that during the biology room intimidation, and Chucky has it. There's pictures of Junior on her phone, and pictures of some other boy on her phone. She's into Pokemon porn, and she keeps Googling, "Why do my farts smell so good?" Oh yeah, Chucky Nini's her good and proper. And when she tries to take her phone away from Chucky before he's ready to give it back to her, he represents. Boom. Unfortunately, Chucky shifts gears and tells the audience that laughing at people is contagious. But now, the joke is on all of them. Chucky then drops a few of his signature obscenities, which, of course, sends the teacher scurrying up to the stage to remove him and Jake from the mic. And as they're being removed, the audience cheers and applauds because they have not the first clue that what they've just witnessed was not an act. The school even makes a call to Luke to let him know the situation and that Jake has been suspended as a result. So when Jake gets home, Luke unspools on him so hard that it leads to a physical fight. I'm talking Luke leaves handprints all across Jake before he takes Chucky from him and banishes him to his room to reflect. Now, Chucky doesn't approve of Daddy putting his abusive hands on his boy. So after setting up a scene with the fuse box, Chucky lures Luke down to the basement, where he waits until the right moment to spring his trap and electrocute every square inch of Luke's body into the next life. Unfortunately, Jake arrives too late to save his father, whom he's forced to watch get turned out by the electricity. With his only living parent now deceased, Jake is taken in by his Uncle Logan, who just happens to be Luke's twin brother, and his wife, Bree. As the episode draws to a close, we get a cool nod to the first Child's Play movie, as Jake almost word for word recreates the scene where Andy's mother was trying to get Chucky to talk to her. And just like it did for her, it works for Jake. After getting over the initial shock of seeing Chucky walking, talking, and acting on his own, Jake confronts Chucky about killing his father. But Chucky is like Tom Clancy, without remorse. He tells Jake that Luke deserves what he got, and that he knows a sasshole when he sees one. Jake realizes that everything he saw on the internet is true. Chucky really is Charles Lee Ray. Now that the two are properly acquainted, Chucky moves on to the next order of business. What are he and Jake going to do about little Miss Lexi? And it's on this cliffhanger that our first episode comes to a close. Personally, I had no idea what to expect from this first episode. But I'm happy to say that I was pleasantly surprised by it. It got me hooked, and it kept me interested all the way through. And it felt like a nice happy nod to the first Child's Play film. Atmosphere-wise, I felt like there was the right amount of horror and tension that viewers are used to from the first 3 Child's Play films, and the right amount of comedy that viewers are used to from Bride of Chucky on. And I hope that this mix can be maintained throughout the series. Like, I hope it doesn't crap out and just go full on cheese by the end of the season. And this episode introduced a lot of characters. But I feel like a good job was done in getting them established and making them interesting enough that the viewers will want to know more about them. Like, I was worried that they were just going to make a bunch of throwaway characters that nobody would care about, so that when they get shanked, the viewer is more interested in how Chucky is going to take them out versus the character actually dying. The actors felt like they were on point in bringing the characters to life. Devon Saw pulls double duty as Luke and Logan and does a solid job of making them feel like 2 very separate characters. It's a shame we already lost Luke, though. He seemed like a nice guy until he got around that liquor. It would have been interesting to see where his story arc would have gone, and if he ever would have come to accept Jake and or quit that bottle. And speaking of Jake, Zachary Arthur puts in good work as that character. I like that he doesn't portray Jake in that stereotypical way. And I like that the writers didn't make that all that the character is about. I did forget to mention that Jake is same gender oriented. And while he doesn't get teased about that at school, it was a big point of conflict when it came to him and his father. Letzadoy does a good job as Bree. And during this episode, she sneaks away and makes a mysterious phone call that has me wondering if she's on some True Lies business or is she just creeping. Teo Briones puts in good work as Junior, and he's got me wondering what in the world went down between him and Jake. Because during the family dinner scene, which I didn't get to talk about, and just in general, Junior acts like a big fat towards Jake. And it's never Jake going at Junior. It's always Junior going at Jake. I mean, Junior is not even nice when Jake has to come and stay with him and his parents after his father is killed. This is the one standing in the doorway of his room, which is directly across from Jake's, looking at Jake, talking about, yeah, something went down. And I hope we get to find out what it is. Olivia Allen Lynn continues that solid acting job as Lexi, who has definitely made me call her all sorts of names. She's the only one who seems a bit stereotypical, though, with the whole Mean Girls routine. But there could be something deeper behind her behavior. There could be, and we'll see. Björgvin Aransson as Devin brings us another stereotype smasher. I am so glad that he is not some jock basketball player or a little wannabe thug with his pants sagging all off his body, or both. I'm glad he's the smart and observant one of our little crew. And even though he's in the popular crowd with Junior and Lexi, he doesn't let that keep him from extending a friendly hand towards Jake. Rachel Cassius, as Detective Evans, continues that stereotype breaking by bringing us an African American female detective. But I'm already worried about her, because she's the one who shows up at Jake's house after his father's murder. So that means she's on the case. And if she's on the case, it could send her the right way for a shanking. And last, but certainly not least, Brad Dourif as Chucky. Knocks it out of the park like he always does. Like, I cannot accept anybody playing Chucky except for him. I'm not trying to put down Mark Hamill's turn as the character in the remake, but nobody, I mean nobody, can bring Chucky to life like Brad Dourif. And I'm very interested to see what our wee little doll man is up to. Because so far, it looks like he just might be trying to groom Jake. So yeah, that's it. That's our first episode. And I am definitely looking forward to the second. Because I want to know what Jake's decision is when it comes to little Miss Lexi. So until next episode, I am Paper Zombie, and I'll catch you later.